I can feel the whispers of winter coming to an end, and spring is on its way. It's coming. I can feel it. It's like 10, 11 degrees. It's still a bit wet, but there's a different sort of smell in the air. And I think it's perhaps the bulbs coming out, or maybe it's just the fact well, actually I didn't. My dad cut some grass today. So, you know, it feels different. There's a different smell in the air. And I like it. I really, really like it. It feels refreshing. I'm just in a good place right now. I had a really nice last couple of days. I had a fire with a couple friends a couple of nights ago, and then last night we went out for one of my friends' birthdays. Played a bit of mini golf in the rain, which was interesting to say the least, but nevertheless a funny, good memory in the old bank. And then we went to do a pub quiz at the local pub, which was again sort of questionable. We lost spectacularly, but it was fun. It was fun. Funny as well. So all in all, good headspace. My social battery was pretty darn depleted after yesterday. It's something I've becoming much more aware of. Like I'm definitely only able to socialize, particularly around newer people or people I'm not as familiar with, or rather accustomed to. It's maybe a better wording. And I think it does have a little impact on you. But I'm aware of it, so, you know, I just sort of pace myself a little bit, and it's aight. It's aight. I just feel like I'm now really, I'm starting to feel the effects of these talks really come into play. And obviously I felt the effects of them pretty instantly, just, you know, talking aloud, letting my head just do its thinking aloud. Doing that in itself is such a great exercise, and for anyone who doesn't do it, I really recommend doing it. But I also think because two of my closest friends do the same thing, we sort of listen to each other's talks. It's like a nice little insight to each other's heads, and we're sort of able to discuss things, and, you know, we have a talking point and something to feel a bit vulnerable about. And yeah, it's just, I think it's a really healthy exercise, and it in turn has made me much clearer in my own mind. And I feel like that's sort of what you get when you're in a relationship with someone you really trust. When you come in from work or whatever, you sort of offload, maybe subconsciously offload what you're thinking and whatever's on your mind onto your partner. And I mean, I've mentioned before, I'm not interested in a relationship of any kind right now. Far, far from it. But I feel like these talks kind of give me the same effect. Just, I think it's just the the process of getting stuff out of your head. Because I had these same sort of feelings when I was journaling every day. And albeit I'm not doing these talks every day because I'm not going to the gym every day, I'm doing them like frequently enough that I'm regularly feeling the effects of them, which is great. It's really great. But yeah, that's sort of my life catch up, I guess. So I'm going out again tonight. So I'm coming to the gym like a few hours earlier than I normally would, because I'm going out to, I believe, a sushi place with my sister, her boyfriend, and my dad. Just the four of us, which will be nice. I haven't really spent a great ordeal of time with my sister, like good quality time for, feels like a while. Like, although we live together, we kind of just live our own separate lives, which, you know, is absolutely fine. But sometimes I've realized now that she's like been, I don't want to say distant, because that makes it sound like it's a subconscious decision that she's ignoring me, but you know, she's obviously not ignoring me. She's just busy doing her own thing, which is completely fine and completely respect that. But you know, like when she's in recent times, we've got pretty close, which is kind of interesting actually, because like growing up, I guess it's kind of common, typical of like siblings, maybe particularly girl-boy siblings, brother and sister, to like argue and bicker a lot. And I think particularly in like pre-teens, what is happening here? I'm not entirely sure. Particularly in like pre-teens, we were both very different people. Very, 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 very different people. And it's also kind of weird. Something I was thinking about more recently is I've always looked up to my sister because she's older than me by a couple years. And so I've always, like, I think naturally you compare yourself to your sibling because, you know, they're your blood, they're the most like you possible, which is also kind of interesting then when I say like we were very different, because, you know, like we had the same upbringing, and it does make you wonder how we ended up so different. But with that said, as we both got older and, you know, some shit went down in our lives, I feel like we've more closely aligned, and I feel like I can relate to my sister a lot more than I could have done perhaps 4 or 5 years ago. And obviously now we have a relatively close relationship. I share quite a lot of my life with my sister, not as much as I would like a partner or something of that kind, but far more than I would have done a few years ago. I don't really know where I'm going with this, to be honest. Oh yeah, but now, like, I don't, although she's like my big older sister, I shouldn't call her old, she's only 2 years older than me, 2 or 3. Like, I don't view her as, how do I phrase this? When I was in like year 4 or whatever, and she was in year 6, maybe it was year 7, I think. Can't quite remember. So she would have been starting secondary school. Like, those 2 years feels like an absolute lifetime. And it makes you feel so much smaller and younger. And I guess as well because girls sort of, they hit puberty much earlier than boys on average. So she kind of grew really like fast, and I think the age gap perhaps looked older on us than perhaps if we were both of the same gender. And I just find that interesting. I think as well, girls tend to like mature a bit quicker than boys, probably just because they hit puberty quicker. And yeah, just I think as we got older, we of course have had the same childhood, same upbringing. We were both treated very equally. I wouldn't say we had like a tough upbringing, but it was definitely a strict upbringing. I mean, we would get punished for doing pretty minor things, I would say, in my eyes, but that's just me. But anyway, it's interesting that we had such like a different experience in school and a different teenagehood, and yet we've still sort of like aligned on the same, on more or less most things. We've aligned on the same like mindset and outlook on life and our parents and our friends. But yeah, that's a nice relationship I've got in my life, because you know, there are times where my sister and I don't talk for like a few days, or sometimes like a couple weeks. We'll have like exchanges here and there, but it might be a couple weeks in between when we can actually like sit down or, you know, stand in the kitchen or whatever and have like a full conversation, because one of us is always darting in and out of the house. So when those moments do come, it's nice to, you know, have someone else to just speak to and, you know, talk about life. It's a nice relationship I've got in my life, and one I'm never going to take for granted, because, you know, I've only got one sister, and I hope it stays that way. It will more than definitely stay the same. But yeah, we're going out, the four of us, this evening, and that should be cool. I don't know what I'm going to do at the weekend yet. I might be seeing my mum tomorrow. I don't know. But what I do know for sure is that I've had 3 or 4 pretty late nights in a row, wherever that has been from. Staying up around the fire, the pub last night, and I think before that we had a couple late night gaming sessions, which, you know, obviously it's all my choice. I make those decisions. Got no one else to blame but myself. I don't have to agree to do those things. Yeah, I'm pretty tired, to be honest, so I think that's also partly why I'm coming out early today, because I probably will have time to go to the gym later. But to be honest, like, after you've eaten, like, I don't know, when you eat a meal out, you kind of just want to like go home and chill, watch a movie, or, you know, just rest properly. So tomorrow I think I'm definitely just going to have a relatively chill day, not do anything too crazy, and just get the rest in that I need, because I've had like maybe 10 hours sleep in total the last couple of days, which is obviously not great. But yeah, as I say, it's my own problem, my own doing, and you know, I've had a good time. So, you know, it's a trade-off at the end of the day. I traded my quality sleep for some good nights. Oh, it's really kind of wet over here. It almost looks like it's been raining a fair old bit more. I've had an idea today that I kind of want to do with my friends, and that's oh fuck, why do my legs hurt so much today? I really want to do like an interview where we ask each other a bunch of like generic questions, maybe like a few deep ones that, not like super complex questions that are going to have like 20-minute long answers to, but also not like super surface level, like what's your favorite color, but just like a general life update sort of interview, and like do that once a year to compare them to. And you know, I want to like properly sit down with the camera and not make it like super high production necessarily, but put a little bit of effort into it to make it like a cool thing to do once a year. Just because I think it would be really nice to like see the mental progression of our minds and see how our minds and our understandings and experiences of the world change over the years. And I think that's probably the best way to visualize it. Even just taking like, ideally we'd do this interview like around the same sort of week of each year, give or take, or at least like within the month. And that way we can see like the physical changes as well, which I think would be pretty cool, pretty darn cool. So I did ask the guys a couple hours ago, and they seem like they're on board, which is pretty darn sweet. So my friend's going away at the weekend for a couple months, and hopefully we can do something when he gets back.